Welcome to Informe, a social media conversation for August 6, 2014. I'm Nate Manahan.
And I'm Dustin Hickle.
Hey, we're going to jump in and keep it simple because really we didn't have a lot to talk about, but we just jumped in and we said Twitter v. LinkedIn. What are we going to talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about, is Twitter better for your business or is LinkedIn better for your business, and why? We're going to ask tons of questions and try to get to the best answer for you.
A little bit of news stories, and I offer you a $10 Amazon gift card at some point and tell you how to get it. But you have to watch the whole thing to find out. All this, maybe a little bit more, right here. Informe, a social media conversation. Keep watching. Welcome to Informe. It is a foggy August. Welcome to San Francisco, but we're in northern Indiana.
Yeah, it totally feels like fall now.
Out there in the Golden Gate Bridge, or maybe Center Street in Flat, Indiana. Let's talk social media. We're here to talk social media, and let's jump in. My favorite platform that I sometimes use and always follow, Twitter. Mm-hmm. Knocked it out of the park. After we recorded last week, they had their quarterly earnings. They beat expectations. They beat the street. Everybody was like jumping up and down, and now people are saying, no, maybe we're always looking for bad news.
Yeah.
And so we linked up a couple articles, Wall Street Daily, which I don't know if they're reputable. I just found their article.
Yeah. I found a Mashable article, too, which we always like.
Yes. So Mashable was saying it was putting caution because there's a new feature that's floating around in some accounts.
Yeah.
Where you're getting a promoted tweet, basically, and it means that you get a tweet from someone you're not following that's in your stream, and an opportunity to follow them. Is that a issue to you? You
know what? I mean, for Twitter purists, people who have used Twitter for a long time or since the beginning, I can see how it's an issue because, on Twitter, it's just been the people that you follow and that you choose to connect with day in and day out. To me, I again, primarily more of a Facebook user. Growing up, I guess, that's expected. That's normal for me. It's like, oh yeah, this my dad likes this page, or my friend likes this page, and it comes up in my stream, and I'm not surprised by that. So seeing it on Twitter, we've talked about a lot. We know that Twitter probably will not be just pure for a long time. There are going to start being promoted tweets. There are going to start being, your friend retweeted this. And eventually they're going to have some sort of algorithm to serve you content that you want to see. There's monetization that has to happen at some point, and Facebook has jumped the shark on that in some cases. They, trying to make too much money. You go to your news feed and you have no idea if you've subscribed to any of those things that are on your news feed, and they're telling you what you want to see. And Twitter at this point, when I go to it, and if I logged in right now in the pure Twitter feed, I would just see what was seconds ago someone tweeted. Because I follow, I forget, 800 plus people and brands, I'm going to see whatever the newest thing is. Yeah. This seems to bother people. It doesn't bother me. I think this is great because it gives us one more option. Because I think Twitter, for some reason, as a lot of small businesses have jumped in, a lot of the quarterly earnings, the reason Twitter was making money is because small businesses are jumping in and paying money, including our clients, including people that we work with, including ourselves, and paying them money to promote tweets. And that doesn't bother me. As long as they do it tastefully, as long as it doesn't jump in and it's not every other tweet. And Facebook, literally when I sign into Facebook, and I try to do it as little as possible, but I've been on there more recently, my first 5 out of 7 things that I see are some type of ad to me. This is popular because. I'm like, no, I just want to see how my friends are. And I can't even get to that. Yeah. So as long as Twitter does it tastefully, which up until this point they've been really good about that. Even going public, they handled that well, and it hasn't really affected the users' experience on Twitter. So I'm not too worried about it. Again, from my side of things, but I mean, they have to make money. They have to do that, and so you have to respect them for doing it. And I think they will do it tastefully. And I think it's a simple way for people to interact. I've been watching it. I've been watching a local school official jumping on Twitter. And I've been following his account and watching him interact with other people and make statements. And I think it's very hard for an acting petition to say, I'm going to make a statement in 140 characters or less. Yeah. And watching as he tries to engage with other people and tag other people and retweet other people's tweets. But I'm like, there's a system that works here. And that's what I love for small and medium businesses. There is a way for us to use Twitter. It's simple. I don't think they're going to change a lot. They are going to provide some ways for us to pay to get our information, our message out there. That's great. And if I can promote a tweet, we've already seen that on the main Twitter feed, so it's going to happen in the stream. They're going to figure out a way to use it in third-party apps. So when you're using Hootsuite or you're using
TweetDeck or whatever you're using, you're going to start seeing some paid advertising in there, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
They need to make money.
The title of this article is An Insidious Trend Hiding in Twitter's Earnings Report. And this is something that I think was really interesting. It's very, very much Twitter is growing. Everybody was jumping up and down for joy, but there's something in this that's kind of a warning to us, like maybe don't get so excited just yet.
No, well, and it is. But here's what this guy says, consider. Twitter's monthly active user base is 1/5 the size of Facebook's, and its revenue per user is 50% lower. And certainly, that is Twitter's not making as much money as Facebook. But why are we judging? Why does Twitter and Facebook have to be head to head? Why can they not coexist? And why do we have to keep looking at it and saying one has they're on parallel roads and they're both going some places and they can coexist together and they don't have to interact. They do interact with each other, but we don't have to say Facebook's going to win and Twitter's going to win. I think they're both going to exist. We're going to talk about LinkedIn in a minute. If LinkedIn succeeds, does that mean Twitter and Facebook fail? No.
Right.
They have different use cases. They're evolving. How we use a car today is different than Henry Ford probably thought we were going to do it when he was mass producing it. And things are going to evolve. They're going to change. And if you don't change with the times, it's you're going to fail. You're going to stink. So you don't jump off the cliff every time there's something going on. And jump in and figure out how to use it. So let's get real practical here. Let's dig in. Twitter. I love Twitter. But are there use cases that you see out there where people are just screwing it up? They're just not using Twitter well.
Yeah, well, one big one that really irritates me, and I think probably a lot of people, is someone who starts a Twitter account, puts their face on it, their name on it, and then puts together like 25 or 30 tweets and just repeats those tweets constantly. You see the same tweet from the same person that you saw yesterday at generally close to the same time. It's just like they've got it on a schedule that repeats every single day. And maybe they change, a little bit of text here and there or a phrase here and there, but it's about the exact same thing and they're just letting it go on loop. There's no actual real personal connection. They're just really literally just broadcasting information out there trying to get you to click through to their website. Just don't do that. That's a quick way to get unfollowed.
And there are things, be creative in how you present it. Quit telling me your hamburger is 99 cents. You don't have to tell me that at lunch every day. Tell me about your fries or tell me something special about your hamburger. But I've seen places that say, hey, look, this is my great hamburger. It's 99 cents. And they tell me it every day, 7 days a week. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to follow you for that.
Yeah.
Tell me about your tomatoes or tell me about something else that's interesting to you or engage with me in some way or ask me a question. And let's, make this a conversation.
Yeah.
It's at the same point, let's not just keep doing it. I agree. That's a great... And that's a way, and that's what Twitter has to worry about, is they have to worry about how people use their system. And Facebook said, look, we're worried about how people use our system, so we're going to control what people see, and we're going to create an algorithm so that you see what we think you need to see. And it's not us. We're not curating it. It's the algorithm. It's the computer. Well, great, Facebook. Thank you. And what they're really saying is, look, we just want you to pay to play. Twitter, on the other hand, has said, no, here's your stream. Go at it. And people ruin it for themselves. And they're like, why do I only have 150 followers? It's because your content stinks.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, so you can use Twitter in all kinds of ways that are unfortunate. I mean, you see those spam accounts that literally are just retweeting anything and everything to try to get more followers on their account or sending direct messages to people, just to try to drive clicks to websites. It's just, it can be so powerful, but it can also be an incredibly irritating. And unfortunately, like you said, people can ruin it for themselves and for other users.
Yeah.
That kind of behavior can drive people away from the Twitter platform in general. But the beauty of Twitter is that people can choose exactly who they want to follow and when and why and unfollow.
Yeah.
And they have full control over it. So.
And they can engage with people that don't follow them. That's what I love about it. Because Facebook, quick story. Yesterday, I got a phone call. I was at lunch with a friend. Got a phone call from another friend saying he was out of town traveling and his wife needed help. They had a bat in the house. Could you come over and help? So my friend and I just stopped lunch, paid for our lunch. We did pay. Walked over and we drove over to the friend's house to help capture the bat. As we were doing that, they captured it on the iPhone and put the video up. I am friends with the husband. I am not friends with the wife on Facebook. Apparently she posted the video. I haven't seen it yet because it's not on there. But what was interesting to me was Facebook was controlling that. I couldn't interact with her without adding her as a friend, and I couldn't see that video. Now, that's privacy concerns, and I'm fine with that. But on Twitter, if she had posted it to Twitter, I could have just @messaged her or put her into a. And not that it was, but I was thinking, you know what? Twitter is a place where I can interact with the world at any time, any place, and there's no one that you can set your account to private, but so few people do it. Facebook is a walled garden, and that's great, but we have to realize that's how it's used. So I love Twitter.
Yeah.
And I love Facebook. I think it's great. I complain about it a lot just because it's fun to do, but it should, you should be on it.
They're different, and they can coexist in the same sphere and still both be really successful because people love them for different reasons. It's just that simple.
So,
just like LinkedIn. LinkedIn has just acquired Newsly, which I think was really interesting. I hadn't really heard of them before. But in reading this article by Simply Measured, it looks like LinkedIn is not only going to be a professional connecting social network, but also kind of driving to gear themselves up to be your news network, your professional news network. So really interesting in the way they're positioning themselves, but this article really kind of gave us a really cool look in what exactly LinkedIn's trying to do with themselves.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about LinkedIn, and I don't use it well, but I observe it well. I don't use any of them personally. I manage people's accounts, I think, and help encourage people how to use social media in all kinds of different ways.
You're more of a consultant.
Yeah. and I don't personally use it extremely well. I think I do it pretty well on Instagram, and I do pretty well on Twitter. And those are the two that I focus on. And I interconnect the two, and so anything I post on Instagram usually goes to Twitter. There are a few times I don't do that. And I just don't play on Facebook all that much. Yeah. I may jump back in and put my toe back in the water at some point. LinkedIn, I have an account, I don't do it. But I've noticed that as people are writing articles and as they drive, they're driving more and more business traffic. And I had a friend that I saw on Twitter yesterday. He launched a new book yesterday, and all his content was mostly coming via LinkedIn articles and reviews. And he was using LinkedIn because he was targeting a business audience with his new book. It was all LinkedIn based. And I thought to myself, LinkedIn is really creating a use case for B2B like none other. And there's still, obviously, their B2C stuff is still possible, and specifically for people, but their B2B is so powerful. And so if you're a company that's doing that, and I think this for ourselves here at PayPro Media, I think this for Salcha, LinkedIn needs to be something we figure out how to use and how to capitalize on. And they're just keep adding. They're adding this Newsly, and they're saying not only and they're not creating walled gardens. They're not saying, I've used that phrase way too many times today. Stop using the phrase walled gardens. How many times can you use it?
It's a good phrase. It's okay.
But they're saying that it looks like what they're going to do with Newsly. We don't really know for sure. But they're like allowing you to look at your contacts, look at the people that you're interacting with, and see what else is happening across platforms. Cross-channel. It's not just what's happening on Twitter. It's not just LinkedIn. It's not just Facebook. It's not just Pinterest. It's not just Instagram. We just keep going on the list.
Right.
It's seeing the whole lay of the land sometimes, and LinkedIn's going to help you do that, is what it looks like to me, at least in the idea of converting potential contacts into potential clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And what they're talking about here, there's tons of potential for this. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording, how literally if someone posts a new article or their name is in an article or they win an award, Newsly can be set up in such a way to send me or you a message, and then we can immediately reach out to them and say, hey, Nate, I saw you're in this article. That's awesome. Congratulations on your latest award or your latest... Or I really didn't agree with what you said here, but I liked the way you wrote it. Let's have a conversation about it. It gives you that ability to instantly connect with somebody about something that they probably are very proud of, more than likely.
It's real-time analytics.
Absolutely.
It's so necessary these times. I've been watching, as we've launched some new sites here, and I've been on Google Analytics and watching their real-time analysis where you can see, exactly down to the minute right now, there are 7 people that are on this page. And I love that.
Yep.
And then if I could actually, because of LinkedIn, you're signed in and you're logged in and they're going to tell me instantly that, hey, they're right there. That is so powerful. Absolutely. And let's jump in and figure out ways to do that. And now, is that useful for a hamburger joint, like I was using the 99-cent hamburger? Probably not.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw that you were on my LinkedIn page. Do you want a 99-cent hamburger? Thanks for the In-N-Out burger. But I'm sure they have a page. I don't know. But it's probably not useful. But is it useful for the accountant who just wrote an article on, some type of fund-based accounting service or something that they're doing, and they see somebody's reading their article and they can jump in? Yeah, there's so much ability there. So let's dig deep. Or I don't know, deep surf. I don't know if it's deep. But let's
It's
ask the
deep.
question.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So let's go LinkedIn. How do you use, what's a great way? We talked about bad ways to use Twitter, so let's be positive.
Okay, great.
So what's a great use of LinkedIn that you can dream up for a small, medium business?
Yeah,
What's
absolutely.
your first thought?
Well, I mean, especially if you're a business to business or a B2B business or a maybe more of a service-based business. I've actually had a real use case experience where I've joined various groups and I'm very active in the groups, sharing about social media, sharing about marketing, having conversations about inbound marketing. And then I got a direct message from a lady named Kim who was in various groups with me and saw that I was interacting with those groups, and she and I had some conversations about different topics previously. She reached out to me via direct message and just said, hey, I'm actually a sales rep for this social media scheduling hosting service. I'd love for you to give it a shot. Take it for a test drive. Give me some feedback, and let me know what you think. And then I'll give you a free trial to use it for as long as you want. And that is the perfect use case because she and I never would have connected if we weren't both in groups, sharing content and being active and having those conversations, sharing our knowledge and kind of sharpening each other. But then for her to reach out to me specifically and say, hey, because I know who you are and the things that we've been working on together, I know my product might actually be useful to you. Don't just reach out willy-nilly and say, hey, you need your carpets cleaned because we were talking about credit cards in this group. That doesn't make any sense. But for us, we had actual real rapport together. And she said, hey, check this out for me. Give me some feedback. That's a perfect use case. I mean, absolutely ideal way to use LinkedIn.
Yeah, be relational, figure out how you can add value, and don't just spam people. Because what I've also watched is I've become connections with people, and suddenly I'm on their email newsletter for LinkedIn, and suddenly I'm, hey, you need financial consulting. I have a friend that has done that. And I'm like, look, we haven't talked, and I just accepted your connection, and yes, I knew you 15 years ago, and I was glad to know that you're doing financial consulting, but no, I didn't need to be subscribed to your weekly newsletter.
Right, don't be that guy.
Use your services. Girl. So, I went negative. Hey, that's how it works. But
I tried to keep it as positive.
I know, he's doing a good job. He just keeps me up there. But here's the thing. All these things, each week we talk about different platforms. This week, Twitter and LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. If you are a small, medium business and you have a Twitter account and you have a LinkedIn account, and you are going to spend 1 hour this next week, and you're going to spend all that hour on one of those two platforms, how do you decide? Because it could be different for each one. Mm-hmm. How do you decide which one you're going to spend that hour on if you have 1 hour this next week?
I think to me it's as simple as knowing exactly where your target audience is. Yeah. Something that we talk about a lot. Knowing if your target audience tends to skew younger, or you're a business to consumer kind of a company, you're probably going to want to spend your hour on Twitter because you can have thousands if you use your time well. You can have thousands of conversations and thousands. You can favorite statuses or favorite tweets and retweet and have conversations with people and ask questions and post tweets and share tons and tons of content. You can really make a huge splash in 1 hour if you're really efficient on Twitter. So if you're more of like a B2C or you tend to skew younger, totally use Twitter. If you're more of a B2B and you're trying to be more kind of like this buttoned up sort of a feel to your business, that's when you need to go to LinkedIn. It really depends on your target market. You can't just go, you just have to think through it like that. Yeah. It's making sure you're making the right decisions, just like every other type of marketing. Yeah. Get your message in front of people who want to buy your product.
And I think for me, one of the first questions I would ask someone if they're saying, and this is true, and no one's going to say I exactly have 1 hour, but if you are an individual and that individual is your brand, so I am Jimmy Jones. And
you're a financial consultant.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably is Jimmy Jones, kind of financial consultant. If your brand is LinkedIn, then I think LinkedIn might be a place for you because it's more individualization.
Sure. Absolutely.
And brands struggle knowing exactly how to use it. There are business pages, but if you are a person and you are your own brand and you're a financial consultant or you're a stockbroker or you're a real estate agent, LinkedIn certainly might be a place that I would say first focus. And one of the judges is, I would say, take 5 minutes, go to each platform and see, because both of you can say, I want to find new connections, and find out which one says you have the most connections quickest. And then find out where your audience, because that's your thing. Find where your audience is. It's going to be telltale by your email. Yeah. When you log on to Twitter or into LinkedIn, both of them have places, find new connections.
Right.
do that, see which one, and if you see that LinkedIn has 1,000 and Twitter just had 15 that suggested, and then suddenly they're suggesting you do the New York Times and things that probably aren't relevant to you because they aren't friends and they can't find a way to make connections, then go to LinkedIn.
Yeah,
if it's the other way around, and maybe sometimes it balances and you just have to choose. I don't know, but those would be my first two things.
Absolutely.
First, if you're an individual, certainly lean toward LinkedIn. If you're a brand, if you're celebrating your new chocolate covered banana stand. Thank you to the Blues for giving us that. If that's what you're doing, I think you probably tend to maybe be on Twitter because you're on the Santa Monica Pier and you're tweeting and you're saying, hey, all these things are great. Hey, tweet at me if you know what that reference is about, and I'll give you a $10 Amazon card. Right here. So right now, I'm making a credit. The Blues tell me and just say, hey, NK Manahan, this was talking about blank. Don't use blank, fill it in. All right. I'll give you a $10 Amazon card. That means you were listening.
You are so generous.
I am. If you're an individual and you're James Jones or you're Sally's, I don't know.
Sally's Cupcakes.
Sally's Cupcakes, and you're a person in LinkedIn, maybe like, I don't know. We'll see. All that. How are you using this week? Twitter versus LinkedIn. Really, they're not. But which do you use most? We'd love to know. So interact with us somehow. Because we'd love to know. We'd love to know what you're doing on social media. So
Absolutely.
how do you connect with Dustin Hickle?
Yeah, connect with me at Dustin Hickle on Twitter, Google+, Dustin Hickle. We can circle up there. You can also tweet at me at Paper Media. I do a lot of management of that account too, so glad to answer any of your questions. And
you connect with me at NK Manahan. You can follow us at Salcha across all the platforms, but do it on Twitter. We're doing some more stuff on Google+. Facebook's definitely there. We have some. We're on every platform.
Yeah.
They're there. We're trying to continue to create a conversation. We talk about Informe being a social media conversation. This is on the Salcha platform, and Salcha wants to help small and medium businesses be more effective to learn, grow, stay current. So engage. And if you have questions, go over to the blog. Great articles this week on the blog. If you're on salcha.com, and whether you're a member or not, it doesn't matter. The blog is right there. So go to salcha.com, find the blog. There's some great articles on there. And engage, comment. We would love to interact with you as we are writing. Our writers are just doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So all that, you can catch this weekly. We do this Informe show
about
every week. This is 2 weeks in a row. We had a little, summer's been a little rough.
Vacation gets in the way and stuff.
I had work travel, and we're still figuring this out. But nearly every week you can catch it right here, and we would love to interact with you. Please do.
Yeah.
Come tell us what you think. Remember, there's a $10 Amazon gift card if you tell me what I was talking about earlier. So you have to, if you jump to the end, now you have to skip back a couple minutes to find out how you get a $10 Amazon gift card. All that. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.